Hi, I'm Suffer Jerome. Now, I went to see Han Solo. Well, Solo. The movie's called Solo. So, lo, it was a very pleasant surprise. I didn't go opening weekend. Um, Not so much because I was boycotting it, but because I just had a life and didn't have time. So, one of my sons and I went to see it last week on the Tuesday. Tuesdays are deal days at the theater. And we saw it in IMAX, which was great. And so I do want to say that I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to suck really hard, and it's actually very entertaining for what it is. Now, I know people say, oh, people find it entertaining because they hated Last Jedi so much. I suppose there's a little bit of that because when I left Han Solo, or Solo, I guess it's called, um, I said to my son, like, why couldn't they just do that with the other stories, like with the big trilogies, the Skywalker sagas? Why couldn't they just do that? Why do they have all this stupid crap and The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi? Why couldn't we just like run around in a Star Wars universe doing stuff? Han Solo. The Solo movie did all the things you expect from a Star Wars movie. The problem with the Solo movie is, as we've all said, those of us that have been talking about it or have been fans for a very long time, is that we didn't need or want a Solo movie. It seems strange that they even had a Solo movie when the whole theme of The Last Jedi is kill the past, move forward, everything you liked about Star Wars doesn't exist anymore. Last Jedi did a good job at turning everything on its head, all the magic and spectacle and wonder of what we want from a Star Wars story was gone. All our favorite catchphrases like "Oh, I got a bad feeling about this," and all those silly things, or Luke and Leia swinging on a rope. All those things were sadly lacking from The Last Jedi. There was no really epic moments because even the end battle, as I've said 1,000 times, was a cheat because Luke wasn't really there. Anyways, I'm talking about Han Solo. So basically, uh, so with Solo, like I said, that I found it curious that they would go back in time to make a Han Solo movie when they're trying so hard to get rid of all of us loyal Star Wars fans and creating new characters that suck and stories that make no sense and just retreading the same old plots over and over again. The Force Awakens is A New Hope. The Last Jedi is totally The Empire Strikes Back. I don't know why they say The Last Jedi was so different, and it's not. It's totally Empire Strikes Back, except Brian Johnson put in stupid humor and killed our favorite person in the world. So with Han Solo, it recaptured some of that sense of fun. Now, I know a lot of us went in jaded because, the reshoots and this and that, and, we're disappointed with, Han's dead, Luke's dead. We know how the story's going to end, so there's no real tension there. Because even like with Rogue One, we did have tension. We knew it would end where the plans were given to Princess Leia. Anyone who had half a brain knew that, and anyone who had half a brain who went into Rogue One knew everyone was going to die because it's a suicide mission. So it sort of had that self-contained universe. It would be a self-contained story. And we had that epic scene with Darth Vader. And I still don't know why there wasn't a cool scene like that in The Last Jedi, and there wasn't a cool scene like that in Solo. I wasn't sure what the story for Solo would be. I wasn't sure if he might see Princess Leia from a distance at some speech or on TV, or they don't have TVs. I don't know what they do for entertainment besides go to those crazy bars with crazy singers. I don't know if they have TV in Star Wars universe, or radio, or how do you get the news? Um, so I didn't know if there might be a little foreshadowing with that. There wasn't. Spoilers! I should say spoilers, 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 spoilers. There will be spoilers because I'm talking about it, and it's been out a couple weeks now. So if you haven't seen it yet, whatever. I'm just gonna say right here. It's a good movie. Go see it. It's fun. So now we move on to Spoilerland. So, we did have to set up Han as a scoundrel or whatever. And, we knew he was probably a womanizer. And so when we meet him, he does have a girlfriend. They both grow up on the streets together or whatever. And then they get separated at the border when they're trying to run off with something that's going to make them a bucket of money and they'll be free forever kind of thing. And then Solo goes into the army, the Empire Army, which was strange. But then again, I have not read any of the books and stuff about Han Solo because I was always a Luke girl. I never cared about Han Solo. I never found him a particularly interesting character. I really never cared how he came to be. Everything we had already learned about him, I felt that was enough because he was a man of mystery, a man of intrigue. We don't know what dastardly deeds he may have done in his past, and we didn't need to know. All we know is Han shot first in A New Hope, and then they went and took that out. But that was the most specific thing about his character we ever saw ever was that he did shoot Greedo. So they try to backtrack a bit on that in the Solo movie, where one of the big plot points is Han shoots first, and he learns to do that. But anyway, so he and this girl get separated at the border or whatever, and he goes into the army, and he's not very good at it for some reason, but I don't know why he wouldn't be. He's just a kid. Although I wasn't sure how old he's supposed to be. I had no idea how old he's supposed to be. And then he meets up with the woman again. So we know already, just by how she is, that, it's a problem. And also, they hadn't seen each other in 3 years. And even though he's thinking, oh, he's going to go back to get her, we already know that he's probably going to become a scoundrel because something bad's going to happen where he won't get to be with the love of his life, so he'd be jaded forever. That's how most of us get jaded in our love lives because we get burned a few times. So I don't know if he ever met any other women along the way that he was intrigued by. It wasn't clear. It wasn't clear why he liked that girl so much because she's just a girl. But so she becomes, of course, it's a small world, meets up again, and now she's the wife of the big bad guy. Well, we don't know for sure if she's the wife of him or she's the wife of someone because she has a stamp that says she's a wife, I guess. She's property of someone. And we don't really know, but, unlike The Last Jedi, the Solo movie ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger, and I actually want to see the next one. And I thought I would hate this Han Solo movie because, like I said, he's not a character I care about. I wasn't sure if I would like the guy playing him. He did just a fine job. I never really found Harrison Ford particularly charismatic or exciting because I was a Luke girl. So I didn't really care that they would cast someone different. But the thing is, we all know eventually Solo dies at the hands of his crazy son. So again, there's no tension. But how he meets Chewbacca is really cool. I really liked that. I have no idea if this is how the books dealt with it or not. No idea. I don't know how much of the things we learned about him that maybe we didn't already know from the major trilogy or, the 6 or 8 movies of the big movies, what we know or don't know about Han Solo. But I will say that, it's like a train heist. There's some good special effects. And the thing I liked about it is what I go to a Star Wars movie for. And this sadly missing in The Last Jedi, and Force Awakens did it quite well. Which is, for me, when I go to a Star Wars movie, I want, like, outer space, ships flying, TIE fighters and X-Wing. I want things fighting and shooting and blinging and blanging and planets and hyperspacing and they had the, space monster, all that stuff. I want all that stuff in my Star Wars movie. I want the catchphrases that we all enjoy. I got a bad feeling about this, which Ryan Johnson did not humor us with. So, I'm mad at him for that because he took the fun of going, oh, there's that thing again. He took the fun away for us to do that. But we get to do it in Solo. Instead of I have a bad feeling about this, I have a good feeling about this. And that's not a spoiler because it's on the commercials. Um, so we get to have some fun with that. And it's the very first. Oh yeah, I'm still talking about what I like about Star Wars movies. So I want to see. Now I already knew there wouldn't be any laser, battles. There's no lightsaber battles because Han Solo is a blaster dude, not a lightsaber dude. He's didn't deal with any Jedi's. There's none of that going on. I had kind of hoped a bit that Darth Vader would be in it again, like they did to us in Rogue One. Maybe he'd see him from a distance, or maybe had to do a little interaction with him before he goes on to help deal with stuff in the New Hope, and then maybe that would have made an interesting little connection too for a New Hope. That yeah, another motivation to help Luke and Leia and all that, blow up the Death Star. But anyways, it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. And there's a good fight scene between Han's love interest and another character. I really enjoyed that scene. The other character had I don't want to say who it is, had a really cool weapon, a couple of weapons. There was really interesting weapons that were used. And then she used something like a staff, like Ray. And my son, who I saw it with, said, I bet that's Ray's grandma or mother. I bet that's Ray's mother or grandmother. Although he's unlike me, he's of the camp that he's just fine with Ray being a nobody. But I'm like, no, Ray has to be somebody. So he's like, well, she has an English accent, and Ray has an English accent, so maybe. But then again, there's another character who could also be Ray's mother or grandmother, and that's in the gang, someone who's revealed as a woman, and she could very well be Ray's mother as well. Or genetically, not mother, but maybe grandmother or aunt or some relative as well. So that might be something interesting, that she might be part of an a gang, not an outlaw gang, but it's hard to explain these things without giving too much away. Um, so there's a couple of interesting ideas of new people in the universe, or new to me at least, that might be important later on, if we ever go later on with some of these stories. So it was fun. And so, yeah, so it had all the things I wanted a Star Wars movie. Some space stuff, the monsters, the catchphrases, and of course, the score. They did play some of the Star Wars music that we love. When we first see the Millennium Falcon, they get us in the feels with their friggin', the theme. I think that's the first time we hear the theme. Before that, it's music that isn't what we're familiar with, and that's fine. I mean, we can't always hear all the things all the time, and so that was fine with me. And um, him meeting Lando was good. That was good. They had a nice little charisma. I felt though that I saw the actors on the Ellen show a few days before I went to see Han Solo, and they had a really good repartee charisma on the Ellen show. So maybe they've gotten more comfortable with each other off the set as they're going around and doing the talk show. So maybe in the next ones, if they make the next ones, I think they'll have even better banter. And because I think they do meet again, because I was watching a bit of Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. I don't know. They should do marathoning all weekend again, as they do every weekend, it seems. So I caught little bits and pieces. Lando in there, and Han saying, "Oh, I know him from way back," and all that. So definitely more adventures they can go on. And what I thought was great, spoiler, 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 spoiler. What I thought, what made my little mean heart, my little cold heart proud, was the reveal at the end, where we see who someone is really working for, and it's Darth Maul. And I was so excited to see Darth Maul because I was traumatized. See, sometimes if you wait long enough, your heart can heal and you can things might go your way. When I was young, 1977, you heard me a million times. I saw the first three movies. I saw the original Star Wars when it was Star Wars opening day. Fell in love with Luke and the whole gang. Saw it 28 times that year, and I've been a nerd about it ever since. So then they did that. Then when they did the prequels, I was really mad they didn't do Luke Skywalker stories because that's all I cared about. But they had a cool villain, Darth Maul, and I thought he was like the coolest thing. And I was so excited that they had this cool new villain, and maybe he's going to be an even badder ass than Darth Vader, or maybe trains Darth Vader because we knew it was a story about Darth Vader growing up and all that. So then when they killed him off so fast, I was so angry. I vowed I'd never see another Star Wars movie again. But of course, I did, as we all do. And then I kept getting angrier and angrier with everyone. And after the third of the prequels, I was just like, I'm done. And with me, it wasn't so much that they were silly and weird. And, the Jar Jar Binks thing, just, I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with the Ewoks. I was just like, actually, what's funny is when I was watching The Last Jedi around Christmas time because they were showing it all the time because The Last Jedi, did I say Return of the Jedi? The Ewok one. I actually like the Ewoks a little better than I had originally when I saw it in the theater. And, obviously I've seen scenes and this and that over the years, but when I actually sat and watched it, I liked them way better than I did when it was originally when I originally saw them. I hated friggin' teddy bears. But I think back then, at that time, so the 80s, Teddy Ruxpin and Care Bears. There's like so many bears everywhere. It was just like, just stop with the bears already. Like I just couldn't. It's just too many bears happening. So maybe now I'm over the bear thing and I can see the bears again. And it's like, okay, they're Ewoks. Okay, they're not bears or Ewoks. They're teddy bears, whatever. But yeah, and they are creepy and weird. So I think when you're not inundated with Care Bears and Teddy Ruxpins and all that crap, the Ewoks are a little more interesting. And we all know Jar Jar is whatever. Um, so in the Solo movie, once again, they have to have the stupid, annoying sidekick. And like I said, they didn't have R2 or C3PO in it for some reason. Well, I guess because they're not in that universe, because those are with, different story. So they had this other robot, and once again, just like the Porgs, just like Rose Tico, just like so many things. Even BB-8, I wasn't too sold on when he kind of gets on my nerves too. But I've embraced the BB-8. I even have a couple of little things of BB-8. But this new robot. Oh, and I liked the robot in Rogue One because I thought I was going to hate that robot too. Smart ass robot. Because they're all smart asses for some reason. Um, but so Han has a robot. No, Lando has a robot, and um, bad things happen, and the robot is destroyed. But in the meantime, they made it a sassy woman robot, and it just didn't fit, especially in that gritty kind of world. They painted Solo was takes place like it's gritty, like Rogue One, this gritty kind of world, because they come from nothing. They're scavengers and all that. And Belando's robot, this I don't remember what she's called, but yeah, it's very much a woman. She's like doing the stuff, and it's like, but and then I'm of two minds of the big plot point of spoilers. Where the robot, her whole thing all along is free the robots, we're all slaves, blah, blah, blah. So she frees them all, and then they all get free, and they're freeing others. But if she hadn't have freed them all, then Han would probably be dead, or, like, there had to be chaos for the plot point for these people to do things. So it was a plot point, and it was important. But it's just a little too much of the woman's lib stuff, and I'm a woman. But yeah, so that got on my nerves a bit, but it wasn't like brutal like some of the Last Jedi stuff was. It's like okay, it does make sense. It is a thing, and we didn't linger on it too long, so that was fine. Because I don't like politics in my Star Wars. I don't. I hate it. I go to Star Wars, any Star Wars movie, to see Star Wars politics. We got the Empire and the Rebellions. You got the good guys and the bad guys. The Empire thinks they're the good guys, and the Rebellion thinks they're the good guys. So the Jedi's or whatever. So you have like the Jedi's who are like monks or whatever, the religious order. Then you got your friggin' armies, and you have your political parties. Some are peaceful, some are weaponry and all that. But it's galaxy politics, and they create, and we've had like about 7 movies where the politics were pretty established and all of that. So we don't need American politics in our movies. We don't all live in America, so we actually don't care about what you're doing there. We want to be in outer space and think about outer space things. So to have the robot rebellion, again, that's an American kind of contrivance, where it's like, it's a little bit too social justicey or whatever, right? Save that for, a Free the Robots movie. We're watching Han Solo here about a gangster, a heist, a western in space, and it was, and that's the thing I liked about it, because back when George Lucas first created Star Wars, and as I've said it other times, I saw a lot of interviews, read a lot of interviews, read some of the early books that he wrote, and his whole concept had been it's a western in space. It's a fairy tale long, long ago. It's a western in space. You got your good guys and your bad guys, the black and the white. Very, very specific. You know who you're rooting for. You know what's happening, and so that's kind of what we want, and that's kind of where that's going. And so I really enjoyed that about Solo is that it was a western in space. And that's all we needed. It's a very simple story. And like I said, there's not much you can do with it because we already know what happens next. We already know how he dies. We already know, we know he and Chewbacca and Lando are never in any real trouble because they live till Han gets a friggin' saber in his chest by Kylo. So there's tension but not, and then there's the usual good guy bad guy, double cross, triple cross, blah blah blah, and that's a typical western movie thing or a spy thing, and that's cool, that's fine. That was fine. I did not have a problem with that. It was uninspired, but it was fine. Everything was pretty base. It was nothing like super like, oh my god, I'm losing my shit. It's just buy the books, a nice comic book story. Like I said, I could have done without the social justice warrior robot, but everything else was good. And then Darth Maul at the end, I was like, yeah, I want to see what Darth's place in all this. He's not going to get cut in half immediately like Snoke. Because you know what? He got cut in half immediately in that other movie, and I was mad for like 30 years. Up until I saw Solo, actually. And I was so glad I stayed away from all the spoilers before I went to see it. And then, let me tell you, it was very hard to stay away from Solo spoilers, and not seeing it opening night. Because I almost always see Star Wars movies opening night. Like I said, it was more of work things than it was for any political or boycotting or whatever. Um, and so I was very glad because I was surprised because I know I read something. Oh, Mark Hamill spoiled a cameo of a bad guy in Star Wars. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta like not look, not look. And that was like 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, I can't look. You know what? I want to read about Mark Hamill, and it's like, oh, maybe it's Darth Vader, or maybe it's Boba Fett, or maybe it's maybe it's Leia, maybe I don't know, Jabba the Hutt. It could be anybody, and that's all I want. I didn't even want to know that much that there was a surprise ending, but at least I was totally surprised when that was Darth Maul. And so I'm so glad that they did bring him back because he is a cool character, and that's the only thing that really is invigorating about the Solo movie. Is that I am looking forward to see, because once you see the movie, if you haven't yet, you'll understand the story mechanisms of why he's there, and then I do want to see what happens next. Like I said, I don't care about what happens next in the Last Jedi, number nine, whatever anymore, because they killed Luke and I'm done. But with Solo, yeah, and it makes me wonder about myself because, like I said, I'm not a Solo girl, and I liked him just fine, and the story was fine. Everyone was fine. It wasn't spectacular. It was a nice little movie that did its job, and we're in outer space. We're doing some stuff, and it might be a little grisly for the kids. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Kids play all these horrible video games anyways, so it's okay. So yeah, that's my solo ramble for today. Bye for now, and may the force be with you.